At my own father's retirement party, in front of 200 corporate guests, my stepbrother handed me a mop and said, "Hey, Macy, someone puked in the hallway. Do your job." Laughter exploded. I was humiliated, ignored, and shoved aside like I was invisible. But they didn't know that my fiancée, who they mocked for being just an app coder, had just bought the company. My name's Macy Corbin. I'm 29. And last Friday, I was publicly humiliated by the family I once called mine. The room was buzzing. Crystal lights, laughter, champagne flutes, a live jazz trio, and a projection screen flashing, "Congratulations, Henry Corbin, 35 years of excellence." That's my father. Or biologically, at least. I stood in the shadows near the kitchen door of the Lexington Tower ballroom. My stepmother, Lorraine, had forgotten to assign me a seat at the family table. Again. She said they were overbooked, then handed me a staff badge. Thought she was being subtle. "Just wear black, sweetie. You'll blend in." Translation? I was to serve drinks at my father's retirement gala while my golden stepbrother gave speeches about family legacy. I hadn't spoken to Dad in 3 months, but apparently I was still useful enough to refill champagne. It wasn't always like this. Before Lorraine, Dad and I were close. Mom died when I was 11, and Dad held me like I was all he had. He used to bring me chicken nuggets after night shifts at the plant. When he finally made it to VP of Operations at Carlton Enterprises, we celebrated with gas station milkshakes and hugs so tight they cracked my ribs. But then Lorraine happened. She met Dad at some industrial conference in Dallas. Suddenly we had oysters in the fridge and rules about where to leave shoes. She brought her son Graham into the picture, a smug prep school golden boy with a smile like a crocodile. Within a year, Dad married her, and the whole dynamic shifted. Graham got a car at 16. I got silence. He got business school. I got a cleaning job at the same company Dad ran. No joke, I actually scrubbed floors on the 11th floor of Carlton Tower for 2 years after college. Graduated top of my class in psychology, but apparently family ties didn't mean crap when Lorraine started whispering poison in Dad's ear. "She lacks ambition, Henry. She should learn the value of hard work. She's emotionally unstable. It's best if she isn't involved in the business." They replaced my employee badge 3 times. Once it just read, "Temporary Janitorial." But despite everything, I still showed up to Dad's retirement gala. I told myself it was closure. That was my first mistake. I wore a navy blue dress, modest, clean, professional. Lorraine took one look and said, "You know this is black tie, right?" Before gesturing me toward the back like I was late for a shift. I tried to find Dad before the speeches, but Graham intercepted me first. He was wearing a $3,000 tux and holding a whiskey neat like he owned the building. Maybe he thought he did. "Hey, Mace," he sneered, slapping my back a little too hard. "The coat closet's looking stuffed. Want to start there?" I'm not staff. Could have fooled me. Then, the mop incident. Someone puked in the hallway outside the women's restroom. Champagne and sushi, probably. I was standing nearby trying to gather the nerve to approach Dad when Graham clinked his glass for attention. "Hey, everyone," he called out. Looks like the mop girl missed a spot. Then he looked at me. Grinned. Macy, be a doll. The room burst into laughter. I stood frozen. The CEO of Carlton was staring. The HR director who interviewed me twice and ghosted me was there. 2 of my old college classmates, all watching me, the so-called janitor, holding back tears in the hallway. I nearly left. But then my phone buzzed. It was one word from Eli. Here. Eli Sutton, my fiancé of 7 months. Founder of a low-key cybersecurity firm that just signed 3 multi-million-dollar government contracts. The same guy Lorraine called a tech support boyfriend over brunch 2 months ago. They had no idea who he really was, and I hadn't told them. Not yet. Part of me had wanted to protect Eli from my family's toxicity. But at that moment, standing in stilettos by a mop bucket while people laughed at me like I was a prop, something snapped. I texted him back. "Give me 5 minutes. Walk in like you own the place," he replied instantly. "I do." I smiled. Then I grabbed a champagne flute from the bar, straightened my spine, and walked toward the main stage. If they thought I was about to be their joke of the night, they had no idea what storm was coming. I walked straight to the stage like I owned it. Not a tremble, not a flinch. My heart was pounding like a war drum, but I smiled, the kind of smile people wear before pulling the pin on a grenade. Graham was mid-sentence, bragging about continuing the Corbin legacy when he spotted me. He faltered. "Macy, what are you—" I snatched the mic from his hand. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said calmly, but loud enough to echo, "let me properly introduce myself." The ballroom froze. My stepmother Lorraine stared like I'd grown horns. My father was. By the stage, his brow furrowed, glass halfway to his lips. "You may know me as Henry Corbin's estranged daughter, or maybe just as the janitor, right, Graham?" A few people coughed. Some smirked. Others looked mortified. "Well, let me update you," I continued. "My name is Macy Corbin. Yes, that Corbin. But I'm also Dr. Macy Corbin, licensed trauma psychologist and founder of the Mind Haven Project. You might not have heard of it yet. We provide therapy access for underprivileged teens across the city." Silence. "Also," I said, savoring the pause, "I'm recently engaged." Whispers. "To the man who, as of 2 days ago, owns a controlling interest in this company's parent firm." Gasps. Loud ones. The ballroom doors opened, and in he walked, Eli Sutton, 6'1", steel blue suit, calm eyes like winter oceans. He strode through the crowd like Moses parting the Red Sea. My stepbrother actually stumbled backward. Lorraine's mouth dropped open so wide I saw dental work. Eli didn't say a word at first. He just walked up, to me, kissed my cheek, and turned to the crowd. "Evening," he said casually. "Sorry we're late. We had to finalize the acquisition papers. You could hear a champagne cork hit carpet." "What acquisition?" my father croaked. His voice cracked. That never happened. Eli turned toward him with that disarming, deadly charm of his. "Oh, didn't anyone tell you? LexCorp Holdings filed a quiet merger last week. My firm Sutton Tech absorbed the board majority. Your retirement party is now under our budget." Lorraine grabbed Graham's arm. He looked like he might pass out. "And just to clarify," Eli added, smiling, "when your family mocked Macy, called her janitor, ignored her education, insulted her in front of 200 guests, you were insulting the woman who helped design our new mental health initiative. You mocked your new boss's future wife." Screams of social death. Someone dropped a glass. Lorraine tried to recover. "Mr. Sutton, there's been some confusion. We had no idea Macy was my fiancé," Eli said coolly. "The one you didn't invite to the head table? The one you made carry a staff badge? That Macy? She told us you were just an IT guy." I laughed out loud. "They thought you fixed routers for dentists." "Oh, I do fix things," Eli said. "Like corrupt board structures and overdue revenge." Graham looked like a ferret on fire. "Look, man, it was just a joke." "A joke?" Eli turned. "You humiliated her, publicly, at her own father's event." My father finally spoke. "This is ridiculous. Macy doesn't even work for this company." "Exactly," Eli snapped. "She wouldn't stoop that low." Lorraine's voice turned syrupy. "But we're family. Surely we can work past—" "We're not family," I cut her off. "We're history." I stepped closer, lifting my glass. "To new beginnings and overdue endings." I turned to the crowd. "Dinner's on us, by the way, and if anyone wants to discuss the company's new direction, my office is now where Graham used to park his Audi." More gasps, laughter, applause. Lorraine stormed out. Graham slithered after her. My father sat down, stunned. The man who once taught me to ride a bike couldn't even stand, but I could, and I did. Eli took my hand. "You ready to leave?" he asked. I smiled. "Not yet. I want dessert. I hear Betrayal pairs well with tiramisu." People clapped. But it wasn't applause. It was panic camouflage. Rich people trying to pretend they weren't sweating bullets in $1,000 suits. I could see it on their faces. The fear, the confusion, the dawning realization that they had picked the wrong woman to humiliate. And the worst part? This wasn't even revenge yet. It was just exposure. Eli leaned down, whispering, "You sure you want to stay?" "Stay," I said, locking eyes with my father. "I haven't even begun." A waiter passed with champagne. I took one glass, then another. Graham was near the back of the ballroom, still pale, furiously whispering into his phone. His jaw clenched. His posture screamed one thing: damage control. "Good luck with that, buddy," because I wasn't done. I walked back to the mic. "Quick announcement," I said, smile wide, voice sharp. "I'd like to thank everyone who treated me like gum under their Louboutins tonight. You've made this moment delicious." Nervous chuckles, eyes darting around. The room vibrated with tension. "And for the record," I added, "I didn't crash this party. Lorraine invited me herself. Told me she needed someone to keep an eye on the waitstaff." Gasps. Someone dropped a fork. My stepmother looked like she'd swallowed a pine cone. She thought she was being clever, I continued. "But see, I have something even better than cleverness." I turned, extending my hand. Power. Eli joined me again, nodding like a king surveying peasants. This merger, I said, wasn't random. We knew exactly what we were buying. We saw the audits, the debt, the offshore, payments, the CFO, Mr. Tolliver, the sweaty man who once rejected my application with a post-it note. Looked like he might faint. Starting Monday, Eli added, there will be an internal investigation into executive compensation, expense accounts, and nepotism. Graham stiffened like a man who just realized he's been walking toward a cliff, blindfolded. You can't be serious, Lorraine snapped. This is absurd. Is it? I said. Or is it karma? With a corporate email, address? The crowd didn't laugh. They stared, silently. Graham, Eli said, turning toward him. Maybe now's a good time to explain that slush fund you've been using for client dinners at strip clubs? A full-body gasp. What? That's not, he stammered. Oh, don't worry, I said sweetly. We've got receipts, literally. Dozens. I walked closer to him. Remember the time you told Dad I stole from the company snack bar? Got me fired from my summer internship? He nodded, confused. I found the security footage, I said. Turns out it was you, stuffing boxes of protein bars into your backpack while drunk. His jaw dropped. Shame. I was grounded for a month. You got a promotion. Stop, he whispered. No, I said. You don't get to silence me. Anymore. My father finally stood up, red-faced, fists clenched. Enough, he barked. This is my night. You had no right to hijack it. Eli stepped forward. You mean like how you hijacked your daughter's future? You never deserved this spotlight, my father growled. You were always weak, always needy. I walked right up to him. You left me in therapy alone at 13, Dad. You sent me to college with barely enough to eat while Graham drove a Tesla. You told people I chose a different path, but you never gave me a choice. His face turned to stone, and then he slapped me right there, in front of everyone, sharp, loud, like a gunshot. The ballroom froze. I didn't cry. I didn't flinch. I just stared him down. Security moved. Eli surged forward, but I raised a hand. Don't, I said. Let everyone see. Lorraine gasped, finally realizing the PR hell that was unfolding. Henry, what have you done? My cheek burned. My heart thundered. But my voice, steady as a judge. Now you've shown them who you really are. My father looked at his hand like it wasn't his. Then he sat down slowly, silently, defeated. The crowd began to shift. Eyes narrowed. Phones raised. I stepped back to the mic, my tone colder now. This is what happens when you tell a girl she's nothing. I turned to Lorraine. When you shame her. When you exile her. I turned to Graham. When you steal her chances and call it merit. Then I looked straight into the cameras. I rebuilt myself, smarter, stronger, and now I leaned in. I'm in charge. The slap echoed longer than any of Dad's speeches ever had. No one laughed now. No polite applause, no murmurs, just raw, stunned silence. Cameras stayed raised. Some guests dropped their forks. Others stared at their phones like the footage would. Makes sense if they replayed it fast enough, but it wouldn't. Because no one expected this. I slowly turned my face toward the crowd, letting them see the outline of his hand on my cheek. I made no move to hide it. Let them witness it all. Lorraine rushed toward Dad. What the hell were you thinking? You hit her. He didn't speak. He just slumped in his chair, face pale, eyes fixed on the stage like it had swallowed him whole. Eli wrapped an arm around me protectively. You okay? He whispered. I nodded. More than okay. I looked back toward the podium, and I claimed it again. No more secrets. No more playing nice. I let this family bury me once. Never again. A woman near the front stood. She was older. Crisp navy. Suit. Pearl earrings. Sharp eyes. I'd seen her photo on the boardroom wall. Cynthia Dean, executive chair of Carlton Enterprises. She stepped forward. Ms. Corbin? Yes? You've shown strength, bravery, and from what I understand, vision. I'd like to speak with you privately after this. Heads turned. Lorraine paled. Cynthia wasn't just board chair. She was Carlton's real power. Quiet, strategic, feared. Of course, I said. I'd love to. She nodded once and returned to her seat. But the shift was seismic. The crowd's energy morphed. People were recalculating. They'd spent the first half of the night mocking me. Now they were wondering if they'd backed the wrong family. Graham tried to salvage it. "She's manipulating you. You don't know her like we do." A voice from the crowd shouted back, "We know enough now." Then another, "Did you really record her getting thrown out?" Madison, Graham's girlfriend, clueless and cruel. She looked cornered. She squeaked, "It was just for laughs." Another voice, louder, "She was invited." Then someone else, "And she owns the company now." The dominoes were falling fast. I walked off the stage, but not to leave. I made my way to the table reserved for senior executives and family. Lorraine looked up from her champagne, face tight, lip twitching. She was unraveling. "You've made your point, Macy," she hissed as I approached. "But I swear, you don't understand what you're doing." I smiled sweetly. "Then explain it to me, as a subordinate." She flinched. "Starting Monday," I continued, "I'm suspending Graham pending financial review. Dad will retain his retirement package, but not his advisory role." "Oh, and you, Lorraine?" She blinked. "You'll be removed from the Community Outreach Committee. Permanently." "Who the hell do you think you are?" I leaned down close to her ear. "The janitor who cleaned up your mess." She gasped. I walked to my father. He looked up, hollow, lost. "Why?" I asked quietly. "Why did you let them do this to me?" I thought I was protecting you." "No," I whispered. "You were protecting yourself." He said nothing. And in that silence, I understood something deep. I would never get the apology I deserved. But I didn't need it anymore. That truth didn't break me. It freed me. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. I glanced down. "Fox Business requests a live comment on the Carlton incident." I stared. It had gone national? Already? "Eli," I said, "tell your team to prep a release. We're controlling this story." He nodded. "Done. Want to make it brutal or classy?" I gave it a moment's thought, then smirked. "Classy. With a dagger." He grinned. "My favorite." I turned back to the crowd. Eyes were locked on us. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said, raising my glass, "thank you for a memorable night, and remember, sometimes the ones you push out, push back harder." Cameras flashed. A standing ovation erupted. Not for Dad. Not for Graham. Not for legacy. For me, for the woman they tried to erase, but I was back. And this time, I was rewriting everything. The morning after the gala, I woke up to war. My name was trending. Not Eli's, not Graham's, mine, Macy Corbin, Janitor 2 boss, gala slap, thousands of retweets, viral clips, reaction videos, comment threads stretching miles long. Some called me a hero, others called me cold. But one thing was certain. Everyone was talking about me. I sat on the edge of the bed, phone in hand, heart racing. Eli brought me coffee without a word. He knew this moment was heavy. Because no matter how strong you are, watching your darkest wounds go viral is like reliving them, in 4K, with a laugh track. "Is it what you expected?" he asked gently. I shook my head. "It's worse, and better." At the same time, he nodded. "That's fame, even when you don't ask for it." Emails flooded in, news outlets, book agents, podcasts, brand offers, some offering more money than I made in 5 years combined. But one message froze me. Subject: "I'm sorry, I should have told you." From Melissa Carter. Melissa, my best friend since freshman year. She was there when Graham made fun of my thrift store boots. She cried with me when my dad forgot my birthday. She held my hand the day I got fired from my summer job. The one Graham sabotaged. I hadn't seen her at the gala. I assumed she wasn't invited. I opened the message with a pit in my stomach. "Macy, if you're reading this, I guess the truth is out. I should have told you sooner. I was invited to the gala. By Graham. I didn't go to support him. I went to talk to him, to end something. We were involved. For months. I thought I could fix him. I thought I could keep it separate. But now I see how wrong I was. I never meant to betray you. I was weak. I'm sorry." My breath caught. "No. No, no, no." I blinked, reread, read again. "Melissa?" My Melissa? She had slept with Graham? I stood up, lightheaded. The room swayed. Eli grabbed my arms. "What is it? What happened?" I shoved the phone at him, barely able to speak. His eyes scanned the message, then narrowed. That coward. "She was my best friend," I whispered. "She knew everything, every detail of what he did to me." He pulled me close. "This isn't on you." But it felt like it was, because now it wasn't just corporate betrayal or family cruelty. It was personal, intimate, and it cut deeper than every slap, every insult, every boardroom lie. I sat down. The shock settled in like wet cement. Memories stabbed me from all angles. Girls' nights, shared secrets, road trips, the time we cried watching The Notebook even though we both hated it. She had chosen him. "I need air," I said, grabbing a coat. Eli didn't follow. He knew I needed silence. Outside, the city was buzzing. My face was on every newsstand. The cafe across the street had a chalkboard that read, "Be the Macy in a world of grams." I laughed. It came out bitter. Across the street, a group of college girls whispered and pointed. One of them actually said, "That's her!" I turned the corner and kept walking, until I reached the river, the same spot where Eli had first told me he loved me, the same spot I went when Dad cut me off. I stood by the railing, staring at the water. Cold, fast, loud. Then my phone rang. Melissa, I almost declined it, but I answered. Not for her, for me. "Hi," she said softly. I stayed silent. "I know you hate me." "I don't hate you," I said. "I just don't know who you are anymore." "I deserve that." "Why him?" She sighed. "Because I was broken, and he made me feel needed, like I mattered." I clenched my jaw. "At my expense. I was weak and jealous. You always seemed so strong." I laughed. Raw, hollow. "Then you never really knew me." Silence. "I want to make it right," she said. "You can't." "Macy." "I needed you," I said, voice cracking. "All those nights I was crying over that family, you were in his bed." She didn't answer. "I don't want revenge," I said quietly. "But I do want freedom." Click. I ended the call, deleted her number, blocked her account, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel guilty. I turned back toward the street. The city welcomed me like it had always been waiting. I wasn't a victim anymore. I was a storm, and I had one more place to visit before I was done. 2 weeks later, the boardroom was silent. Not the awkward kind of silent, not the waiting for a slide deck kind. No. This silence had weight. It had teeth. Cynthia Dean sat at the head of the long mahogany table. On either side, directors, shareholders, attorneys. In the center seat directly across from her, me, Macy Corbin. No mop in sight. I wore a midnight black pantsuit that said exactly what I needed it to. I didn't come here to play. I came here to finish it. Cynthia leaned forward. "Ms. Corbin, are you certain about your decision?" I nodded once. "Completely," she smiled. "Then let's proceed." The meeting began. First agenda item, the official removal of Graham Halford from all Carlton subsidiaries. Unanimous. Second, termination of Lorraine Corbin's contract with Carlton Outreach and revocation of her board affiliations. Unanimous. Third, my motion. The room leaned in. I stood. "I'm grateful for the opportunity to join this board," I began, calm but fierce. "But I have no intention of staying." Gasps, murmurs. Someone actually said, "What?" I continued. "This company built its success on the backs of forgotten workers, janitors, cleaners, warehouse staff, women like my mother, who worked herself sick in a textile factory so my father could climb this ladder. And when she died, he married upward and forgot where he came from." I paused, swallowed, looked every single one of them in the eye. "I'm not here to sit at this table. I'm here to break it." Cynthia didn't flinch. She smiled. "The Mind Haven Project has received an anonymous $10 million donation," I said. "I'm launching a mental health and career rehabilitation initiative for displaced service workers. That donation came from my personal buyout of Carlton Equity." Gasps again. "I will no longer be a shareholder," I added. "I'm donating it. Every share, every cent." The CFO blurted, "You can't be serious." "I'm dead serious," I replied. "I've already signed. As of this morning, the money is already moving." They stared at me like I was speaking Latin. "You're giving up power?" someone asked. I smiled. "No, I'm transferring it to the people you ignore." Silence again. Only Cynthia nodded, calm as ever. A bold move. Eli stood in the doorway, watching. His eyes were full of fire, pride. Outside, the press was waiting. I didn't care. I was done proving anything. On my way out, I passed the gold-framed photo wall. My father's portrait hung at the center, smiling. powerful, untouchable. Until today. Took it down. No one stopped me. As I stepped into the lobby, cameras flashed like lightning. Miss Corbin, did you just resign? Are you really giving up your shares? What do you have to say to your father? I turned slowly, raised the frame, and held it up for the world to see. Then I said what I had waited a lifetime to say. I made it without you. And I dropped the photo. Glass shattered on marble, like a funeral, like closure, like freedom. Later that night, Eli and I walked along the river. The wind was sharp. The stars, loud. I can't believe you gave it all away, he said quietly. I didn't give it away, I whispered. I gave it back, to people who deserve better. He kissed my hand. You didn't burn bridges, Macy. I looked at him. No? He smirked. You built a new city. We stopped, and right there, under the moonlight, he pulled out a small velvet box. My heart flipped. Not an engagement ring, he said with a grin. That's already done. He opened it. Inside, a silver key. I blinked. What's this? Our new building, he said. Downtown, 5 stories, for Mindhaven's new HQ, all yours. I laughed through tears. Not bad for a janitor. He smiled. No, not bad for a queen. And as I held the key, cold, real, shining like my future, I knew this wasn't revenge anymore. It was rebirth. Not just for me, for everyone they tried to keep small. They built their kingdom on my back. Walked away and let it crumble. Now I rule something bigger. Myself. The end. And here it is. The finale of today's story. Did everything turn out as you imagined? Or did it end unexpectedly? I'd love to hear what you think. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and let's dive into the discussion together. If this story kept you in suspense, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't signed up yet, what are you waiting for? This is your chance to join an incredible community where exciting new stories unfold every day. Click the subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay up to date. Thanks for your attention and see you on your new adventures.